guys, and welcome back to another movie review. So this one, appropriate for St. Patrick's Day and everything, although I am reviewing it a few days late, but that's okay. So anyway, this is for the movie Finian's Rainbow, which came out in 1968, which I swear I had a Mandela effect over because I could swear I remembered it being from the 70s, but apparently not. It's from 68, so, but it's not the first time I've watched this. I've been watching this for probably like a decade, every time TCM aired it. So, anywho, it was on my radar because it was like the last big theatrical film that Fred Astaire ever did. So that already just endears it to me right there. But I feel like this movie gets a lot of flack from people, and I don't think deservedly so. I think it's one of those that, sure, maybe at the time it did, but I think it deserves another rewatch, another revisit, reevaluation, all of that, because it's not a bad little film, honestly, if you just take it for what it is. I get that by 68, a lot of, like, movie musicals were kind of falling out of fashion and everything. Granted, there's, like, some that are the exceptions to the rule all the way before and after from that era, but this one, I don't think it hit as well as they wanted it to when it came out. But it's interesting to me that I didn't realize till this watch of it that apparently this is a Francis Ford Coppola film. Not only is it Coppola, but it's the first film he did. And I'm like, really? But finding out that had he not done it, it was also offered to William Friedkin. And that would have been a very different kind of movie had he gotten hold of it. So I'm just like, wow. Alright, that's very surprising to me. So, I mean, we've got Coppola, we've got Fred Astaire, we've got Petula Clark in it, we have Tommy Steele in it. I'm just like, it's a good cast. I mean, basically, the gist of this one is Fred Astaire and Petula Clark, who's playing his daughter in it, are coming from Ireland to America to immigrate and everything, start a new life, all of that. And unbeknownst to Petula Clark's character, Finian, Fred Astaire's character, has secretly found a pot of gold, and this is what he wants to start his new life with. Now, they've stumbled upon this little, I don't know if southern is correct, or just kind of out in the sticks, kind of backwoods kind of town, very rundown, very poor, something like that. They don't really see anybody around, so they figure, oh, we can kind of just move in here and everything, until they hear people start coming. So they go hide in a tree, and they see, like, this whole drama unfold about the parcel of land is going to be sold to the county because they can't make the payments on it. And, of course, the daughter, finding out that this gold that her dad has, that she did not know until just this moment that he has, and apparently is stolen, she decides to, like, grab it and start just chucking it down from the tree, right as they say money doesn't grow on trees. And basically they are able to save their little town, village, what have you, because of it. So they work out a deal that they can live on the outskirts of town in turn for having saved the town. Fine. But it's because Finian knows that it is in close proximity to Fort Knox, and, you know, he wants the gold, so fine. They set up shop, essentially, over there to go live right there. He gets really drunk that night, and he's gonna go bury his pot of gold because he doesn't want anybody stealing it from him, what he's got left of it. And he encounters a leprechaun played by Tommy Steele, which is a choice. But, regardless, he wants the pot of gold back, and basically is threatening doom and gloom upon him if he doesn't return it, and if a mortal makes 3 wishes upon it, it can only bring downfall, basically. Not only that, but it will turn the leprechaun mortal if that happens, and he doesn't want to be mortal, he wants to remain a leprechaun, so it's a whole thing, but Fred Astaire does not want to give it back. So it's a whole game of cat and mouse through basically the whole film of him trying to keep it away from the leprechaun, and the leprechaun popping up, begging him for it back. As all this is going down, Petula Clark stumbles upon one of the main men from the town, and they kind of fall into a whirlwind romance. Don't ask, it's a movie musical. Shit happens fast here. And this is the musical that gives us such songs as Old Devil Moon. So, if you've ever heard that, this is what it's from. Granted, the musical came decades before the film did, but still. There's actually a lot of good songs in this movie. So that's another reason, I think, to give it a revisit as well. So anyway, there's this whole plot going on, there's the whirlwind romance that, like, literally by the next day, it's turning into, oh, they're totally going to be married, and wait, what? Like, it moves fast, I can see this as being one of the plot points probably where people slam on it because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. There are some things with the plot that I will be the first to admit are kind of all over the place, and that's okay. It doesn't ruin it for me, I just take it at face value for what it is. So there's all of that. There's also a mute girl in the town who speaks, essentially, through dance, and it's really kind of fascinating to watch. It's clear they got a ballerina to play this role, but it's kind of just, she's so graceful, and the way she moves, it's like a sight to behold and just observe, especially amidst all these other people who are just like common villagers, and then there's essentially a graceful swan amongst them. So there's that, and I mean, when there's somebody in a film with Fred Astaire who is actually dancing more impressively than Fred Astaire, that says something. I'm just saying. Granted, yeah, he was 69 years old in this. I thought he was a lot older. I guess people really did just look older faster back then, but it's okay. So, anywho, so there's all of that, and we don't think too much of it, but it becomes a plot point later on in the film. So, all of this is going on. There's a whole B-plot going on with, like, the main character, or the main, not the main character, that main guy that is in the whirlwind romance, who's trying to, like, create mentholated tobacco, except the problem is that it won't burn, and he needs funding so that he can create this, like, research it and make it happen. And this town, it's pretty split between blacks and whites, which I guess was still divisive for 1968, but the guy he has working under him does happen to be a black man. And it ends up becoming a racially charged film very quickly, and I could see where some people might take issue with that, but if you hang with the film, it actually does end up having a really good message that is quite progressive for its time, I think, especially given the fact that the movie adaptation of this came along a couple decades after the musical. So if that was already in the musical, thinking back to when that came out, if that was still a thing even then, that's impressive to me, because that would be, what, the 40s that they were doing this? That's wild to me. But anyway, so there's a whole thing with that. Turns out, like, I don't know if it's the mayor or what, but very, very racist man, and it gets real ugly real fast, and essentially a big plot point in this film is that Petula Clark's character accidentally wishes him into becoming a black man. Yeah, that's the whole thing, and then they decide because that happened she's a witch, and they want to burn her at the stake, and I never said this is a St. Patrick's Day film, okay? I just said they're Irish, and it felt inappropriate because of it. Shut up. But it had a leprechaun. It feels St. Patrick's Day enough. But, because of that, now Fred Astaire's character is pissed because his daughter is going to be burned at the stake, and it's all the leprechaun's fault, and he's going after the leprechaun. The leprechaun has no idea where the gold is. Finian thinks that it's been stolen by him. It's all a whole thing. Turns out the mute girl is actually the one who took it and hid it under the bridge. And there comes a point where one of them wishes that she could speak. And then she speaks. Which means there's only one wish left, which of course gets used to wish the guy white again. But, like, it all becomes like a big anti-racist teaching lesson moment. The leprechaun does become mortal, but he's fine with it. it ends up with a cute ending. I'm trying not to give away every piece of it, but I will say it's cute, and I think it's worth revisiting, since, especially through, like, today's lens, look at it now. I mean, yes, I realize it's problematic the way that they had to depict changing a white man into a black man and then back again, because, yes, this did, in fact, include painting him, and I know, it's a whole thing, but remember, it's the context of the times of when this was created, okay? Okay, but anyway, it's all for a teaching lesson moment in trying to teach him about what it's like to be on that side of the line. She wanted him to see and to understand because he was being so cruel. So this forced him to literally live it and see what it's like so he could change his ways. That is the whole point of why that is a thing. But yeah, if you're not expecting it and you just think this is like a St. Patrick's Day movie, you hit that and it's like, I'm sorry, what just happened? Like, yeah, I mean, there's some weird stuff in there like that. There's some interesting, by today's standards, probably a bit antiquated, overly sexualized things about women in it, where it's like, oh, we just did that. Cool. That did not age well at all. It just seems a little creepy now, but that aside, if you can look past those issues, it's still a cute movie. It still ends up having a good message by the end of it. I don't know, I like it. Like I said, I have revisited this film pretty much every year since I first discovered it, and I will probably continue watching it each year as it airs, but I like it, and I feel like no one really talks about this movie anymore. So I figured I'd share it with you guys. If you happen to see it on, if you happen to run across it somewhere, maybe consider giving it a watch. If nothing else, then for just the piece of movie musical history in that it's like the last big one that Fred Astaire did. But anyway, if I had to rate it, I would probably still give it like a 4 out of 5. I do enjoy it that much. The music in it is that good, which doesn't surprise me because it's written by Yip Harburg, who wrote some of the music for The Wizard of Oz, for Gay Free, for a lot of Judy Garland's films, as well as a lot of other MGM films in general, so he knew what he was doing. But anyway, I like it a lot, so I think there's probably a good amount of people here who've got similar taste to me who'd probably get a kick out of it too, if they've never seen it. So anyway, that's it for this one, guys. So as usual, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload, leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more, it's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Get your name on the end card for a month from the time of donating. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.